Waking up before my kids to pray started with the verse of the day. Today's devotional is titled Trusting God's Story. What's happening, everyone? It is December 22nd, 2025, and today we're going to start with the verse of the day as it leads us into devotional. Our verse of the day comes from Luke chapter 2, verse 7. It says, "And she gave birth to her firstborn son, and wrapped him in strips of cloth, and laid him in a manger, because there was no place for them in the inn." Imagine Mary and Joseph getting ready to become parents. They probably asked a lot of the same questions that expectant parents do today. Is the baby healthy? Are we prepared to care for this child? Do we have what we need? Where will the baby be born? Or are we even ready for the birth? Near the end of Mary's pregnancy, Caesar Augustus issued a decree that everyone within the Roman world would return to their hometown for a census. This meant that Mary and Joseph had to leave their home in Nazareth to take the 4-day journey to Bethlehem, the city of David, who was Joseph's ancestor. It could have been because of the census that Bethlehem's inns were full of people making the journey home. It also could have been because of a misunderstood scandal surrounding Mary and Joseph. Regardless, when the time came, Mary gave birth to Jesus in the only place available to them, a stable. She placed him in a manger, a feeding trough, because that's all there was. Surely this was not the birth that Mary would have planned for her firstborn child. And yet it was exactly what God had ordained. God showed us a lot about his kingdom through the circumstances around the birth of his son. He showed us that Jesus is humble. Jesus was born in a stable and placed in a manger. The king of all creation, yet such a humble beginning. He showed us that the kingdom of God is accessible. This king wasn't tucked away in a castle or mansion, separated by his people and surrounded by luxuries. Shepherds and wise men alike were able to come and visit him. He showed us that we can trust the story. Mary had to trust God's story. Joseph had to trust God's story. Imagine how the story would have been different if Mary and Joseph had demanded that the room be made for them in an inn, shouting, "This is the Messiah, people. We need a room with amenities." But they didn't do that. They accepted the situation in front of them, trusting God's story, regardless of how strange or undesirable the setting seemed. And from that surrendered posture and a strange set of circumstances, God brought forth his son exactly as he planned. We can trust the story because God is the author. Jesus' humble birth was not an accident. It was a message, a picture to all of us of what God's kingdom truly is like. It's also an invitation for us to surrender our plans, our ideas of how the story should be, and trust the trustworthy hand of God in our lives. We can trust God.